When I think of the complexity of life, the multitude of thoughts, the multidimensional levels of reasoning, and the sheer number of events happening simultaneously, my head spins in confusion. I get lost in the chaotic disorder.
Why is there so much fascination in the obscure, the unusual? All this hype about the extreme. Oh wow, look at this! All this wasted energy in finding satisfaction in the next great thing. There's so much more to be found by going deeper, not wider.
Hydraulic brake systems. They contain a world of... There is so much, really. It's a mystery, really.
When you ask people what's the most fascinating of the plants, you'll get answers like the Sterilitis junu, or the giant redwood, or the Margolius carflumeus. People are fascinated by the oddity that represents just 1% of the plant world. Why is so much attention and limelight given to the fringes, when the truly profound beauty of the plant world is so easily overlooked?
What happens to all those ideas? Does anyone take note of the patterns or connections between them? Who could possibly contain all this information? Conversations never noted. Experiences not recorded or ever learnt from, only to be repeated again 100 times more. How can reasoning be extracted from unrelated experiences that originate from diverse sources? Or how many discoveries are lost because the connections were never seen? Take, for instance, the sharing of skills. So you got one person who can chop trees and prepare timber, another who can design and build furniture, and then a third who can craft and polish the final creation. Now, none of them can do anything in their own right. It's only when the knowledge is pooled that something new emerges, a synergy is created that exceeds the sum of the parts.
There's pressure, and there's the pistons, and there's the vacuum. All these forces, they react with one another. And in some bizarre way, they seem to understand one another or something.
Overlooked because of its abundance, considered mundane because of its simplicity. Yet all the characteristics of the celebrities can be found in this simple king of the soil. For me, the most fascinating plant of all is the single blade of grass. It may be considered to be the bottom of the pyramid, but without it, all the others would collapse without its solid foundation. The single blade of grass has proved to be the most versatile of life forms. It has survived for millions of years, adapting to whatever conditions it finds itself in. Dry deserts, lush rainforests, cold mountains. The more you look at it, the more fascinating it becomes.
How many millions of other interconnected pieces of data could be brought together to create something new or find a new understanding? And what about experiences that seem unrelated, like the enjoyment of a sunrise or the discoveries of a journey? Could they be possibly brought together and understood in a common language? Otherwise, the history of life is lost. We'll continue going in circles of repeated experience without any progress, because we've never have any means of embracing this vast spectrum. But what if we could grasp the relationship of all ideas? What if all human experiences, thoughts, emotions, reactions could be recorded in a common language, so that the entire complex interrelated elements of life could be finally understood? Well, now that would be progress.
Most people, they only see the cold steel. They hear the harsh noises of the engine, the vroom, vroom, and they don't see. But if you go further, if you get past that, there is so much more. There's a delicate balance. The forces, the effects, all the parts responding to one another. When I first began me work with hydraulic brakes, I just thought it was a standard part of my mechanics training. And it was just like any other part of the car that just did the job. It was only when I took one apart and I saw the beauty of all the bits and how all the parts work together. My friend Emily calls that stimulus and response. That's what they call it in science anyway.
Artistic beauty. I read an article once on a scientific condition called sublimation. It's when an element transitions from a solid state to a gas state without any intermediate liquid state. It just simply bypasses the liquid stage. Then I understood the genius of this design. It didn't need to be encoded with the language of words for me to understand it. It just struck me on an intuitive heart level. Complexity in the depth of the mundane. Unnoticed amidst the noise of sensationalism. Sublime, yet simple.
Now at last we have the answer. The global SAN. A SAN is a repository for data. It's a vast store for millions of pieces of data. The simple-minded reductionist may view this as just another compilation of ones and zeros, but it's so much more than that. This technology is about putting order to the chaos. SAN technology can capture the intricacies of life. Through a complex array of algorithms and statistical formulae, everything can be translated into the common language of ones and zeros. Once in this format, it can be ordered and structured. Streams of thought, ideas, experiences, dreams and reality can be stored together and then ordered and managed. Once collated like this, it can then be studied through rapid analysis to calculate answers. Answers. All answers. History unraveled and laid out and understood. Scenarios predicted with absolute accuracy. Decisions made in an environment of full control. Pure knowledge. Ones and zeros. There's so much more.
I found that all the forces within hydraulics, the actions, the relationships, all that produce all the different types of chemical reactions in my brain when you look at them. And I think that life can be seen in this same detail. It makes no difference to me if I find excitement in not the usual place it's found. Like, why run around the world looking for the next whatever, when all you really need to do is just go deeper? It's like Emily says, stimulus, response. Stimulus, response. Where response is king. You know, I don't care where stimulus comes from.